Guys, my name is Nonima Tigela. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So today I want us to talk about something that has been bothering South Africans when it comes to the death of Senzo Meyiwa. In fact, not just the death, the murder of Senzo Meyiwa. We hear a lot of stories. There's too many versions that telling us what exactly happened. And none of these stories actually stick much because no one is willing to actually tell us a proper theory or a proper story that will make full sense and then everybody easily accepts it. Ne? So the theory shifted in so many ways than we care to count because we ended up having our own conclusions as South Africans. Because now the one thing that kind of makes sense when it comes to these theories is that chances are the shooter was already inside the house. Those are the chances. At first, the story was simple. Armed intruders entered, a robbery went wrong, Senzo Meyiwa was shot. That was that. Case closed, right? No. But then something happened in court. The witnesses started contradicting each other. Same witnesses that were inside the house with Senzo. The events that they were giving us were like, ask more, probe. Are you for real? Excuse me? But Zandi said, then Tumelo said, when I'm talking, you are saying. So when that happened, now it brought a lot of more confusion than necessary. The other thing was the timeline stopped making sense because they could not agree on timelines now, when exactly it happened. And one dangerous question was born in all of that contradiction charade that was happening. What if the shooter was never outside to begin with, but inside the house all along? That's what came out of that. Now, where the original story started cracking, let's talk about that. Point number one. The state's version depends on one core idea. They were intruders. They caused the chaos. One of them fired the fatal shot. But during cross-examination, witnesses are disagree on how many intruders there were. Their descriptions don't align. The movement inside the house is inconsistent. That creates huge gaps, Kesan. That creates huge gaps, and law, behold, thereby Lady Justice situation, and in law, okay, gaps invite alternative theories. That is where the jinx of everything is. Point number two, then we have the longer problem. Everything started tightening around one name, Longwe Twala, because witnesses could not agree. Did he run out? Did he stay inside? Was he near the confrontation or the scuffle? Did he engage with the intruders? Same person, different versions. And we were sitting here watching and we were like, what are you people saying? Legally, this is exclusive because his exact position in the room becomes critical. Why is that? Because proximity is equal to opportunity. Do you understand? Even him, he went on Radio Tours, did an interview, I think that was Radio Metro, back in the day between Masechaba and Ndlovu and More Flavor. And in split of seconds or minutes, a minute or seconds, he said two different versions and we were like, so what you mean now? Yeah, bo. Now, point number three, when the scene doesn't add up even itself. Now look at the physical dynamics. A short, chaotic struggle, multiple people in close proximity, a single fatal shot, but witnesses can't align on who was closest to Senzo Meyiwa, who was touching whom, who was in control of the gun. That's not a small issue. That's the moment of the shooting itself. No one can actually tell us what happened there. Point number four, before we go to that, even if they were intruders, chances are the intruders did not shoot Senzo because there was a scuffle. No one can be sure and say, actually, it was Senzo who shot Dundundun, or it was whoever else who shot the fatal shot, or it, do you understand? So no one can actually say it was the intruder, it was Senzo himself, it was the other people that were inside the house who were involved in the scuffle. No one can actually say for sure who actually pulled the trigger that shot Senzo. No one. By the looks of things and how they are describing what happened. Point number 4, now there is a legal turn in everything, from robbery to possibility. Here is where the defense flips the entire case. They don't say this is exactly what happened. They say you cannot prove your version. If you cannot prove your version is the only version. And once contradictions exist, they can argue the intruder version is unreliable. The sequence is unclear. The identity of the shooter is uncertain. And then introduce the alternative. The shooter could have been inside the house. Do you see how all of this is becoming a problem for all of them? Do you see? Now, point number 5, why this theory is legally powerful. This theory of the shooter could have been inside the house because of one principle. The state must prove its case beyond reasonable doubt. Not maybe, not probably, not we think. If the court sees 2 possible versions, intruder shot, someone inside shot, and both are reasonable possible, the law says the accused must be acquitted. Point number 6, the silence that makes it worse. Here is what adds fuel. Some key individuals are not testifying. Some versions come true, statements not caught. Some contradictions remain unsolved, unresolved, Gesan. That creates what we call evidentiary gaps. And gaps don't stay empty. The defense will fill them with doubt. They will fill them with doubt. Those are the problems that Ubaloyi has. This is no longer just a robbery case. This is now a version war. Version 1, armed intruders did it. Version 2, the truth is inside the house. And because the eyewitnesses don't agree, and because no one is sure of who pulled the trigger, the court may never get a clean, uncontested theory or story. And in law, when the story is unclear, the verdict cannot be certain. So do you see the problems that these people created for this case? Do you see? In a normal court, a competent court, these guys, they will walk free, guys. They will walk free. Even if the intruder story was true, they will walk free. But the intruder story is not true. Even if they were said to be guilty, and Kelly Khumalo is the mastermind, they were going to walk free because of the people that investigated the case and brought it to court the way it is. It is full of holes. You can't make up your mind. It's like the investigators don't know what they were doing, including the so-called seasoned prosecutor. And mind you, that the serious sad part about it all is that Ubaloyi is a seasoned prosecutor, plus minus 30 years. Ukininda is a seasoned investigator, plus minus 30 years. Or are they both seasoned cookers? Your chef? Because you can't tell me people that have so much experience, 3 decades of experience, both of them are messing a case, a big case like this. Both of them. Njani. How do they do that? Do you understand the magnitude of the problems that they created here? No, man. It's not nice. This is one of those sad situations. It's quite intriguing to sit and watch and listen. And even listening to Gininda, you get like, oh my God, abantu banjani. Hey, abantu banjani. Because what? Because what? It's a mess. Oh, it's a mess, Kesana. The entire situation, it's quite a mess. I don't know about you, but yeah, time will tell. What are your thoughts when it comes to all of this? Let's talk in comment section. Do you think that shooter was inside of the house. Do you think that the intruder story or theory is not true? Do you think that the robbery gone wrong situation is just a created version to suit a certain narrative? What are your thoughts? Let's discuss all of this in the comment section, because my goodness me. I'll see you on our next video. Thank you so much. Do enjoy. Bye-bye.